have very different medical systems in our two countries, seemingly, in the US and the UK.
Sure.
But this propaganda, as you call it, has been widespread worldwide, right? So
Oh, yeah.
what is at the root of that?
Yeah. So you ready to know what it is?
Go
Shut up.
on.
What's the root of that? In 2016, this is all you need to know, actually. In 2016, Tel Aviv University in Israel conducted a study, 500,000 patients in 49 countries. It was the largest study ever done on high blood pressure. And they found 49 countries, 500,000 people, that the individuals who consumed the most salt every single day had the best blood pressure readings and the most normal blood pressure readings. And all the individuals who consumed 3 times the amount the FDA tells you should consume salt every day, every person around the world that consumed 3 times that amount had better blood pressure readings than anybody who took the FDA readings. Now, they publish in The Lancet in the UK where you are. The Lancet is a medical journal. They publish the results of the study that the more salt someone consumes, the better their blood pressure is and the lower their risk factors for stroke and heart attack become. When you just asked me why and who benefits from this lie, why would they tell us this lie? Did you see that when that was published by The Lancet, did you see who threatened The Lancet with pulling their funding if they publish that study and don't retract it?
No.
The American Heart Association threatened The Lancet and told them, you publish that study, we're going to pull all of your funding. You have to retract that study. All right, so the next question for you is, why would the American Heart Association be angry at a medical journal for publishing a study,
Right.
largest one ever done in history, proving that salt intake, the more salt you eat, the lower your risk factor for high blood pressure, strokes, and heart attacks is? Why is that a threat to the American Heart Association? Which, by the way, is the highest revenuing medical association in the whole world.
What?
Why would the American Heart Association threaten the actual medical journal with their publishing of that study if they don't retract it? What's the threat to the American Heart Association if that truth was to get out?
Tell me.
The American Heart Association's 90% of all their funding comes from the pharmaceutical industry, the
Right.
drug makers of high blood pressure drugs and stroke drugs and heart attack drugs. So if the majority of their funding comes to them from high blood pressure drug manufacturers like Merck, Pfizer, and others, of course they're going to see this journal as a threat and this article as a threat, because if people started eating more salt in their diet and they read that study and medical doctors got a hold of that information and that truth, they would start telling their patients to eat more salt. Well, does Pfizer own salt companies? Not that I'm aware of. Does Merck own salt companies? Not that I'm aware of. But even if they did, salt is cheap and it's a natural resource that you can't patent typically unless you change its formula. So this was the ultimate threat to the American Heart Association is it will reduce sales in high blood pressure medications, stroke medications, and heart disease medications. If the truth gets out that salt in increased amounts than what the governments are telling us will reduce our risk of heart attacks and strokes. So who did the lie benefit the most to tell all of society that salt is bad for you and lower your salt intake? Who did it benefit from the
Right.
beginning?
Terrifying. The
It's
pharmaceutical
the drug companies.
Yeah.
The drug companies that make the high blood pressure drugs. Okay, so this is no different, and we're not going to stick on this topic. But in order to convince people that fat was bad for them,
Right.
the drug companies had to lie to medical doctors and in scientific journals and tell them all that when human beings swallow anything with fat in it, their liver will convert that fat into cholesterol. And we have found that cholesterol, as it builds up in your blood, increases the risk of plaque, blood clots, strokes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Now, who was telling the medical doctors this? Oh, it just happened to be the same drug companies that just created a drug called statins that they figured out in animal studies lowers the amount of cholesterol the liver can make. Okay, this is fun. So once they figured out they had a chemical that actually did in every single mammal they put it inside of it, lowered this thing called cholesterol, then the drug companies had to come up with a way to convince all the medical doctors to promote their drug that lowers cholesterol. Well, what's the best way to sell it to them? Tell them that the number one cause of death around the world, typically, which is heart disease, is increased in risk by increased cholesterol. And so if you just tell the medical doctors that lie, they go like this: oh, sweet. So do you have a drug for that? Good. Let me promote it. And will you give me incentives? And will you give me commissions and royalties? And yes, then all the medical doctors will tell you the same damn lie, and they'll never look into it. And the truth is, all along, I mean, how many of you have watched people doing keto diets and carnivore diets and just shredding weight? They lose weight, they're reversing diabetes, and this is them consuming protein and fat, increasing their cholesterol, increasing their fat intake. But what have we been told, especially throughout America, and I'm sure in the UK, what have we been told for 50 years? A low-fat diet is good for you. This whole thing is a lie. We have to reduce the amount of fat people consume to lower their cholesterol. And what has happened ever since? The more cholesterol drugs we sell, the lower the cholesterol levels go in this country and around the world, the higher the incidence of strokes and heart attacks become. And in every single year, those numbers have gone up. That we've actually been listening to this lie and swallowing the pills. It's ridiculous. Well, let me just tell you the narrative here. Now, we're going to use this example and put it with salt. Okay? We're being lied to about salt. We're being lied to about fats that equal cholesterol. Okay? If you tell people that they have to lower their cholesterol and we have a pill to do it and it will protect you from having heart disease, which everyone's being told this is hereditary and there's nothing you can do to avoid it but take our drugs. That's the other lie. So now you're scared to death that you can't control it because your mom or dad or aunt somewhere had heart disease at one point. You're going to have it. Your medical doctor's telling you, unless you take this drug. You start taking that drug. What you guys don't know is that the moment you start taking the statin drug itself lowers the amount of cholesterol your body can make no matter how much fat you're consuming.
Right.
And did you know at home, everybody, that cholesterol is the backbone required by your hormone glands in your body to make most of your hormones? I mean, you need cholesterol to make testosterone, men. Guess what happens to most men when they start taking a statin drug? They can't have an erection, and they have no sex ambition or drive. Well, where did that go? I mean, 6 months later, you're going to go to your medical doctor and tell them, look, doc, I'm glad my cholesterol numbers are better, but I just have no interest in sleeping with my wife. I can't even get it up. And guess what the MD says? Oh, that's okay. You're in your 40s. This is normal for your age. It's called erectile dysfunction. Here is a little blue pill to help you with that. When in fact, the cholesterol drug you started 6 months ago doesn't allow your body to now make testosterone because you need cholesterol to make testosterone. And testosterone drives sex drive. It also increases blood flow. So now you can have an erection. So because they lied to you initially and said fat is bad for you, causes cholesterol to go up, which will cause you to have heart disease and increase your risk of that. Take this pill. You take that pill. Now you lower your amount of cholesterol. All the side effects after that are this. Men will no longer have any sex drive, can't get an erection. Now they're going to go on Viagra, which is a drug to offset the side effects of the statin drug and the low-fat diet that you're now on. Okay, that's one. Did you know serotonin, the hormone in every male and female's body, needs cholesterol to be made?
Right.
Okay, well, what does serotonin do to humans? It makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel safe. So there's no anxiety or panic. Oh, really? All right. So now you can't make serotonin. Serotonin is your happy, feel-good hormone. Now you can't make it because you don't have cholesterol to make enough of it. What are you going to report to your medical doctor within 6 months to a year after starting your statin drug?
Right.
You're going to tell them you're depressed, you're anxious, and guess what your MD is going to tell you? That's okay. This is normal. A lot of people experience this. A lot of people in my practice have this after 6 months of coming in here and getting their cholesterol checked. We put them on this drug, and now you can actually have another drug to offset the side effects of the cholesterol drug and the low-fat diet. And they can sell you more antidepressants than any other drug on the planet, and that is exactly what's happening and has been for the last 40, 50 years. So antidepressants are still the number one most prescribed drugs on the planet next to cholesterol drugs. All right, well, can't you see how that fits in? All right, so what happens when you tell the world to stop eating so much salt? Well, let me explain this to you. Your kidneys take all of your blood and they filter it into urine and they excrete all whatever it is that you don't need in the body. It removes all the excess water out of your body and cleanses the body. Okay? Your kidneys have cells inside of them to convert uric acid into urine and filter out your blood so you can urinate. Your kidneys can't even filter anything in your blood without these pumps doing their job. And these pumps are called sodium, potassium pumps.
Yeah.
What is sodium?
Salt.
Salt. Okay, so these are called salt potassium pumps. Okay,
Yeah.
well, your kidneys require salt to even work. Okay, so if you deprive the kidneys of salt, guess what happens to your kidney function? Do the pumps get better or worse? What do you think?
They get worse.
They get worse and they slow down. What happens when your body starts retaining water because your kidneys no longer can filter out urine out of your body? Do you retain water or lose more water?
You retain more water.
You retain it. Will the added water in your body put pressure on your blood vessels and on your heart or reduce it?
Yeah, pressure.
It increases it. Increased water, increased pressure. If you increase pressure, what's going to happen to your blood pressure?
Yeah, increase.
It goes up. Now, you're not eating salt and your blood pressure is going up. If you tell the whole society to restrict from the time you're born how much salt you consume, all of you, because you're mammals and designed the same way and all have salt potassium pumps in your kidneys, you all over time will produce high blood pressure. And guess what you've created? A whole society of people that are going to go into their medical doctor's clinic with dizziness, headaches, fatigue, and your medical doctor's got to take your blood pressure and go, oh, your blood pressure's high. We got to actually give you a high blood pressure drug. And make sure you don't eat salt, Mary. You got to lower your salt even from where it is now. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. And this is true. The FDA in America says the maximum amount of salt every day that an American should consume is 2,300 milligrams a day in every 2,400 hours or 24 hours. What does the American Heart Association say? That's in the same country. It says we do not agree with the FDA's salt amount. They believe it should be 1,100 milligrams a day. That's less than half of what the FDA says.
Right.
Okay. How come they don't agree? That's really funny. The Tel Aviv University study in 2016, they published the lowest amount of salt a day that keeps your blood pressure normal. They found in their study of 500,000 people in 49 countries. The lowest daily intake that led to the most perfect blood pressure readings is 6,000 milligrams.
Okay. Wow.
It's 6,000 to 9,000. They even said as you get to 9,000,